am Tacoma artist Mark Hoppmann, and I'm excited to have had a role in creating this work for the upcoming Science Stories exhibition, and to take you on a behind-the-scenes tour of my work titled Mount Tahoma Reliquary, a collaboration with naturalist Jeff-Antonelis-Lapp. Beginning 2020 with what I thought would be a simple project turned into an endeavor as absorbing and complex as it was enriching and fruitful. I hope you agree. On the left is myself in my studio, where Mount Tahoma Reliquary was created. On the right is naturalist Jeff-Antonelis-Lapp, a retired professor emeritus at the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. We were first introduced to each other in January 2020 at the University of Puget Sound during a meeting with other artists and scientists. Inspired by Jeff's work as a naturalist and as an author of Tahoma and Its People, a book about the natural history of the mountain and the people who have inhabited the mountain and its surrounding area for many millennia, we began our work in February 2020 to create what would become the Mount Tahoma Reliquary. This quote from the book set the tone for the project. Before the world changed, 5 sisters lived near Ording. When Dokwabuth the Changer came, he changed them into 5 mountains. One of them he called Takobad, Mount Rainier. Dokwabuth said to Takobad, "You will take care of the Sound Country. You will supply water. You will be useful in that way." Jerry Meeker, Puyallup Tribe, from Ella E. Clark, Indian Legends of the Pacific Northwest. The project involved working in 3 stages. Stage 1 began by making a mold created from bookboard, newspaper, and masking tape, from which a finished papier-mâché Mount Rainier would emerge. To keep the wet papier-mâché from adhering to the mold, I applied a sheet of aluminum foil before applying the first few layers of papier-mâché. To prevent the paper from molding, I worked in small batches of wheat paste glue made on my stove every other morning, allowing the wet paper to dry before each session. In the background, you can see the beginnings of what would become the base for the mountain. After I felt I had a strong enough structure, I removed the papier-mâché shell from the underlying mold. At this point, the thin shell is only about 1/16 of an inch thick and is still very fragile. Many more layers would have to be added before I could begin finalizing the subsequent ridges, cleavers, and glaciers with the aid of my Dremel, followed by a final layer of handmade koza paper. For stage 2 of the project, knowing that Mount Rainier inspires so many areas of study, we decided to concentrate on the archaeology and the natural history of the mountain. Using a drawing made from an existing map, we added an inscription by Jeff, which reads, "Like beads on a necklace, the dots on this map indicate only a few of the more than 100 archaeological sites found on Mount Rainier." This is an excavated fire hearth found at one of those archaeological sites. From this and other photographs supplied by Jeff, I made drawings that would complement Jeff's field journals. I studied approximately 40 of Jeff's field journals before we determined which pages were relevant to the project and scanning those pages into my computer. In addition to notes and even some original prose, Jeff liked to leave surprises in many of his field journals, including original sketches, some personal thoughts, and even bits and pieces of nature between some of the pages from one of his many treks. I incorporated as many of those elements as possible into the scans. On the left is a page created from some of the scanned journal pages after they'd been cropped, laid out, and output onto a sheet of 90-pound Stonehenge paper. In each layout, a space was left where I would render a drawing directly onto the output page. On the right-hand side, you can see one of my drawings. The challenge was to blend Jeff's sketches, the natural inclusions, and my drawings so that it would be difficult to determine where Jeff's work and the natural inclusions left off and my work began. We arrive at the 3rd and final stage in which we incorporated elements of the Lushootseed language. Lushootseed is the language of the Salish peoples of Puget Sound, of which several variations and dialects exist. Lushootseed also has its own alphabet due to sounds that cannot be reproduced using the Roman or Latin alphabet. On the left is an example of how some of the characters are to be vocalized. On the right are Lushootseed words of animals and plants relevant to the native peoples of Puget Sound and their culture. With the aids of Jeff's expertise in the Lushootseed language, I created a series of language cards with a Lushootseed word accompanied by an English counterpart. These are two of the finished language cards rendered in India ink. The images were created from both photographs Jeff supplied to me and images from my personal files. Rather than downloading the Lushootseed font onto my computer, I decided to hand draw the characters onto the language cards, which I felt suited the natural aspects of the drawings better. These are the finished language cards. For these and the accompanying field journal images and drawings, I created a loose leaf portfolio to house the finished work. Both portfolios were made from bookboard covered in kozo, with a spine made from variegated blue cave paper representing sky and water. These are the finished field journal pages, complete with the archaeological drawings and their accompanying portfolio. To hold the two portfolios in place while housed in the reliquary, I used a band of cedar bark, which is an integral part of the Salish peoples. To become acquainted with this new medium, I took some of the bark Jeff left with me, retted it, and peeled off layers. I found it not as easy as native craftspeople make it look. Both portfolios held by the cedar band reside in a pull-out drawer made from bookboard and built into the base of the reliquary. The drawer pull is a small piece of wood I found on the shores of Commencement Bay. Mount Tahoma Reliquary measures approximately 14 by 14 by 7 inches and weighs over 11 pounds. It required almost a ream of paper to create the mountain and several sheets of bookboard for the cabinet. The work is designed so that as you look at the drawer front, you are viewing the south side of the mountain, looking north. Thank you for joining me today. If you would like to learn more about Jeff's work or my art, be sure to visit our respective websites.